My name is Ty Zen, and I want to welcome you guys to the Crypto in Frisco. This is the first big blockchain event that we have in the city of Frisco. So thanks for everyone to come down. How many of you guys heard about this event from our channel or from Twitter? Can you guys raise your hand? Okay. How many of you guys heard it from another cryptocurrency project that's going to be here, like Gladius, like Props Project, like Decred? Okay. All right, cool deal. All right, so I want to welcome everyone to the Crypto in Frisco. We have a bunch of crypto projects and their teams here today that's going to be talking about their projects and sharing with them how they're going to use it in business. Okay, so let's get started, guys. Obviously, we have some disclosure statements here. This is not a trading or investing conference. This is just for educational purposes only, all right? So here's another disclosure statement that our lawyers wanted us to have up here. And just understand, guys, basically what it's saying is that whatever we talk about, it's safe to assume that we invest in the projects that we talk about. So full disclosure. So if we talk about it, you know, there's probably going to be a conflict of interest, all right? So, all right, some quick house rules, guys. This is a blockchain for business conference and not a trading and investing conference. So, do not ask any speaker here for buy, sell, or hold advice. We are not licensed financial advisors. Somebody is going to do that during this conference, all right? And if you do, I'm going to grab you and just shake you vigorously, okay? Because I just warned you guys, don't ask any of us for buy, sell, or hold questions, all right? Do not send any Bitcoins or cryptocurrencies to anyone here, including my staff or anyone. If anyone tells you that, hey, send me some Bitcoins, you know, we need to charge you for registration or we need to test some wallets out of it. Do not send anybody any Bitcoins or cryptocurrencies, okay? No one should be asking you that, okay? Do not show your cryptocurrency wallet to anyone here. Do not ask anyone here to help you with any cryptocurrency. I'm gonna step off here, I don't know why it's squeaking. Do not ask anyone here to help you with your cryptocurrency wallet either, all right? This is not the place for that. Today we're gonna talk about how to use the cryptocurrencies and the blockchain technology in your business, all right? All right, so real quick, a lot of people always, when I go to a place, I always want to know who is that up there speaking. So some of you guys have followed us for many years on our channel on YouTube. That's great, but for the people that are new to this, I just want to share with you guys who I am and who we are and why you should listen to us. I have 5 reasons, right? And I got listed 4 up there. One of these days we'll have a real Asian that knows math and science up here, guys, all right? So, okay, so here it is, right? The first, we started the first and oldest cryptocurrency investing channel on YouTube and on the internet that we know of, okay? We got like 25,000 subscribers. My first video was right here. What is a Bitcoin compared to a fiat currency? And we started that back in, I think, 2013. And at the same time, I also wanted to send a shout out and a thanks to St. Clair. Can you raise your hand, St. Clair, back there? All right, so St. Clair was, many of you guys know on my channel, I talk about working at an energy brokerage firm. You know, they were setting up Bitcoin mining rigs and a mining farm there, and that's how I learned about Bitcoin, and that's how I got into it back in 2012. Well, that was the energy brokerage firm that I was working at for St. Clair back then, okay? So they were mining Bitcoins back then. And so if you guys have any questions about energy, he's the one to talk to, all right? Or mining. Okay, so reason number 2, we made multiple and profitable and documented calls on our Twitter. You know, we're not one of those channels that just talk about trading. We actually put our money on the line in everything we talk about, and we document everything we talk about here. In this call right here, we had like 882% growth in the call made there. My business partner and co-host, Leon, the Honorable Grandmaster, legendary, world-renowned LeonFu.com. Oh, by the way, he's not here today because his first daughter is being born today, or last night, or later today. It's sometime today, and I tried to drag him up here, okay, but he just refused to come. And I think that Bitcoin is more important, but he didn't think so. All right, so we made a good call, Monero. So if you guys follow our channel, our website, or Twitter, we got a ton of documented calls for the last 4.5, 5 years. Hey, reason number 3 is people think Ty Zen is the most respectful man in crypto, according to Adam Meiser, the Bitcoin Meiser, and to Omar. I don't know why he's saying I'm great while he's in bed. So, okay. And then people trust us to alert them about scam coins. back in May 17th, 2016, we were telling people, that OneCoin is a scam. And then it took like 5 months later or something before the Financial Conduct Authority in Europe started telling everybody to beware of OneCoin. Dude, I'm glad that I don't make a living off of making good thumbnails for YouTube, because that is a mug there. Okay, so reason number 5, guys. I was voted the top 13 and top 100 most influential people in crypto. That's me right there on the top 100 list, and there's me over there on the top 13 list. Okay, so enough about me, and that's the reason why you should pay attention to what I have to say up here. Okay, so for the people that already know what Bitcoin and blockchains are, that's awesome. But in case you're new here to the blockchain world, all right, this is just a quick explanation of what Bitcoin is and what a blockchain is. All right, a Bitcoin is the best way to look at it is to see how it was before and then how it is now. Okay, so the way that it was before, by the way, I want to give credit to Robert Palatnik. He's the CTO, the Chief Technology Architect at the largest clearinghouse in America. They clear all the stocks and everything at DTCC. So I borrowed his slide here because he has the best explanation here of what a Bitcoin or a blockchain is, all right? So the way that everything is set up right now is that the way that financial transactions are set up right now, guys, is that all the transactions are localized and it's centralized in one place. Like in the first picture right here, where all the computers and all the users like us have to come to this one central location to get that data or that financial data. And then what happens is that when you decentralize something, now you have these different nodes that work together, right? But each one of these nodes is still controlled by one individual or one party, right? And the way that the Bitcoin and the blockchain technology works is that now it distributes it out across, so now everybody has a copy of those financial transactions. And those financial transactions are usually kept on a ledger, right, at the bank or at the stock market or whatever financial institution that the ledger is kept. And a ledger is nothing but a record of accounting statements of financial transactions of what's, from account A to account B to account C and so on, right? And what is making Bitcoin unique, there's several reasons why the way that it's distributed now makes it so unique, is that, I'll go that in a minute, right? Before we go very further, I want you guys to know that on our channel, we break up cryptocurrencies into what we call buckets, okay? There's last I checked, there's 1,500 cryptocurrencies out there. And what's interesting is that on CoinMarketCap, it'll say that there's 1,500 cryptocurrencies out on the market. But I listened to a talk by, I think his name is Changpeng Zhao or something like that, the CEO and founder of Binance. And he says that even though there's 1,500 cryptocurrencies listed on there, they get requests to list 5,000 cryptocurrencies on their exchange. So obviously there's more cryptocurrencies out there than what's listed on CoinMarketCap, okay? So I'll just go with the number that's listed on CoinMarketCap for now, which is around 1,500. So in the world of cryptocurrencies, out of the 1,500 cryptocurrencies, what we do is we divide those cryptocurrencies up into buckets. And the reason why we got this term bucket was I would talk to leonfu.com, and every time he tells me about a new cryptocurrency, I would always ask him, hey, what bucket does that fall in? And then he would tell me what bucket that he puts it in, and that's how I started to learn about what the differences between the cryptocurrencies are, okay? So you have the currency bucket, which is like Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dogecoin, Tether. I don't make any financial recommendations here, but none of us on our team uses Tether because we don't feel it's safe, okay? That's not a financial recommendation, it's just that none of us use it, and then on our clients, we, what do you call that? Dissuade our clients from using that because we don't feel it's safe, all right? And then we have the distributed computing bucket like Filecoin, MadeSafe, Storage, Saya, and Gladius. I just added this. I downloaded it, and I thought it was a PNG file. I stuck it on here, and then it just covered everything else up. And I didn't want to look biased that I was only talking about Gladius, so I had to put it on the side right there. But well, we're fortunate to have the Gladius team here, and they're going to be sharing some of the stuff that they're doing. And once you guys listen to them carefully, they're the youngest crowd, a team that we have here today. They're 19 and 20 years old. They remind me of Vitalik when we first interviewed him for the Ethereum project back in 2014. Many of you guys may not know this, but we were the first channel to interview Vitalik Buterin and recommend people to consider, looking at that project, investing in him and his project back in 2014. Back then, everybody thought we were crazy. We were nuts for talking about a pre-mined coin, because back then, you had to do proof of work and mine like St. Clair and his energy brokerage firm were doing to get Bitcoins. And back then, they were like one of the first projects to just mine all the coins all at once and just release it to the public. And everybody thought we were nuts for talking about Ethereum back then. And now when people look at us, they call us legends and OGs of crypto. And so, in just a few years, you can go from being a nutcase, a crazy man on YouTube, to being a legend. So it doesn't take very long to become a legend in crypto, okay? So that's the lesson there. So these are all the different projects. One of the things that they do in common is that they rent out extra computer space. So if you have your extra computer space at home that you're not using, an old computer, you can rent it out to any of these projects. And the Gladius team are here today, and they'll explain to you more about that. They're the experts on that, not me, so I'll let them explain it. And then we have the privacy coins here. We have Zcash, we have Navcoin, Pivx, Komodo, and Particle. The Bitcoin private, if you guys can see it, is too big to fit on here, so we put it over here on the side. Okay, so it's one of the biggest projects coming up. We're a huge part. Our team is a huge part in educating the public about Bitcoin private. So there's probably huge bias and huge conflict of interest. Huge when you attach to something? Attach. Thanks, Eric. So just be aware of that, guys, because I don't want you guys to think that we're not disclosing anything or something. So like I said, we invest in any project that we talk about on our team. Okay. So I'm not going to go too deep into the privacy coins because we have Jake here. Raise your hand back there, Jake, real quick. You guys know he's the operations lead for the Bitcoin private community, right? He's what I call the big dog. We have Crypto Dog here in the red cap over here, but he's not the big dog like Jake is back there. All right. Okay, so he could be, right? But all right, so that's how. And there's other buckets in March. We have hired Kirk. Can you raise your hand, Kirk? Right. So he's from Touch Titans. He's the CEO and founder of Touch Titans here in Dallas. They are the company that builds the mobile app for like National Geographic, for Red Bull, and for some of the hospitals around here. And then there's other ones that you can go to touchtitans.com and see it. So they're building the indexes and these tools for us. So I'm just going to put him on the spot and pressure him to make sure he gets it done on time by March, like he said, right? And once we release it, those indexes will have these bucket indexes for you guys. So you guys can go to our site, access it, and you'll see which one we put into which bucket. So you don't have to figure it out. One of the keys to success in blockchains, guys, is that never try to figure it out on your own. Let somebody else go spend the money, the time, and lose their butt off, and then go figure out what they did wrong and then learn from them. All right? So that's my philosophy. Success leaves clues. And you want to follow the people that screwed up the most, lost the most money, lost the most time, because they already figured out what doesn't work, and then you follow them. Okay? So that's my policy. And we have screwed up a lot. Okay? Take a good look at me. I'm not one of those guys that's perfect, okay? I screw up a lot. Okay, so we are here to talk about how to use the blockchains in business, guys. And there are several reasons why you would use the blockchain technology in business, okay? There's a bunch of people that talk about using it in business, and sometimes you look at them and you think, like, what the hell are they talking about? Like, who cares, right? There's like 1,500 cryptos out there, and some of them I look at, and it takes like 30 seconds to figure out that this is garbage, right? So this one right here, the number one, and there's no particular order. I had to list it somehow, okay, to talk about it. But the first reason is to eliminate the need for a middleman, all right? So if I need to make a financial transaction with someone, right, if I need to send it to Crypto Dog over there, $10, right now I have to send it to my Chase Bank, and then what bank do you use, Crypto Dog? Okay, so I have to send it to Chase Bank. Chase Bank notifies Capital One 360 that, hey, you're about to receive a transaction from Ty. His bank approves it, right? They work each other out, and then they agree to it. And then now I send the $10 to him. My bank takes a small fee, throughout the month, throughout the year, and then his bank does the same thing. So there's two middlemen in between me giving him money, right? Now, if I just hand him a $10 bill, there's no middleman in between, right? So that's what Bitcoin and blockchain technologies have allowed us to do, is eliminate the need for those two, I call them pesky middlemen, because they didn't do anything. All they did was, okay, give me the $10. All right, here, Capital One, take the $10, and then Capital One takes, here you go, Sean, or Crypto Dog, here's the $10, right? So to me, I don't see any value in that. And why, right now in the world, we can transfer value, whether it's my car, my phone, my remote control, this microphone, anything. If I want to give it to somebody, I just give it directly to that person. I don't need a middleman in between to give a product or service to another human being. But when it comes to money, I guess what they call the man, the guy that's got his foot on the back of our necks, he likes to get in between everyone's financial transactions. So one thing that the blockchain technology has allowed is us to eliminate the need for that middleman, okay? All right, the second reason why businesses would use blockchains is that it's permissionless, right? Most businesses that you are involved with, it requires some type of permission to use their products, their service, or their technology. If you want to go use YouTube where we broadcast, you have to go and register. You have to go and fill out the forms, put your name in there, your phone number, your emails, and all this other stuff, and give your personal data to them before they give you permission to use it. If you want to send money to someone in another country, you have to ask permission from your bank and your government and everything to send it. If you want to send more than $10,000 to anyone in the world, you have to get permission from the bank, the government, let them know before you send it, okay? When I first got into Bitcoins back in 2012, 2013, around that time, I remember seeing a $150 million transaction go through the Bitcoin network. And I couldn't believe it because it only cost like 5 cents to send that. It was like a huge deal. You can Google it, $150 million transaction sent through the Bitcoin network. And at that time, it blew my mind that it only cost 5 cents. And here I was at that time paying $25 for a wire transaction at the bank. And so at that time, I just, there was other reasons too, but I just put my life savings into Bitcoin at that time, all right? So with the blockchain technology, I keep using the term blockchain technology and not Bitcoin because Bitcoin is not doing what it's supposed to be doing until they fix the problems with the transaction and the speed and the fees and everything. That's why I keep using the term blockchain. So if you guys are wondering why I'm not using the term Bitcoin that much, it's because I can't use something that is not working the way it's supposed to. So until the engineers figure it out, I'm just going to use the term blockchain for now. All right? All right, so the third reason is that it's censorship resistant, okay? So I originally come from Vietnam, all right? So when I used to coach traders in the stocks, futures, and Forex market, I used to talk to a lot of Forex brokers from New York and from Dallas. FXCM is a huge Forex broker that's in Dallas here, and they also have headquarters in New York. And then there's other Forex brokers that I used to deal with and trade through. And I would always ask him, how come you guys don't have offices or accept customers from Vietnam? Because I was getting a lot of Vietnamese people contacting me like, hey, how come none of these places are doing business there? And the reason why is because in Vietnam, the government has very strict capital controls. And what that simply means is it's a fancy term that just means that they get to control where your money goes. So if people in Vietnam want to send money to a Forex broker or a stock broker, they can't do that without government permission. And guess what the government there is going to say? No. Okay, so that's, you got to be very, very wealthy over there to get past all that to be able to do that. Okay, so one of the things that the government is able to do in Vietnam is that they're able to censor where you can send your money. And that's a huge thing. If you're operating a business where you don't want censorship, somebody censoring your customers or you interacting with your customers, you might consider using blockchains, as long as it falls within the laws of your country, okay? So don't break any laws trying to be censorship resistant, all right? So the fourth reason to use a blockchain is for clearing and settlement. Now, many of you guys have followed me on my channel, and if you guys been following me for any amount of time, you guys know that I put all my life, nearly all my life savings into Bitcoin back in 2012, 2013, okay? Now, back then, this was the reason why I got into it. So I was trading stocks for many years already, and many of you guys may or may not know, if you buy or sell, let's say, some Apple stocks, and you made $100 profit, right? It typically takes about 2 weeks from the time that you sell it and you make a profit on those Apple stocks to the time that it's actually in your bank account and you can actually use it to buy something. And that length of time is called clearing and settlement. That means that if, let's say that I'm gonna use Crypto Dog over there as an example again, because he happens to be at the front. Let's just say that he had 100 shares of stocks and he sold it to me and I bought it from him, and then I turn around and sell it the next day and I made $100 profit on it, right? Well, during that time, right, the broker, let's say we use TD Ameritrade, they have what's called T+3. That means time, right, the time to settle it and clear it plus 3 days. So according to the law, the broker and all the clearing and settlement people on Wall Street, they have 3 days to take that transaction between us, to clear it and settle it before they have to deliver the stocks to me or the profit to me, right? And then after they do that, they send the money, when I ask them to withdraw it and send it to my bank account at Chase Bank, it takes more time, and then when it gets to the bank, there's that clearing and settlement time. So in the Wall Street, the term that they use is called clearing and settlement, right? And it doesn't matter what they say, 3 days or whatever, but the reality is from the time you actually made that money, you sold that stock, you made the money until the time that you actually can use that money is roughly around 2 weeks, okay, based on my past experience. So when my business partner, leonfu.com, me, pieces of Bitcoin, fractions of a Bitcoin to test it so I can learn what it was, the first question I asked him was, when does this clear and settle so I can send it back out? And he said, just wait a couple of minutes. And I said, what do you mean? Doesn't it take like 2-3 days like they do on Wall Street? He goes, no, and he sent me the link to blockchain.info where my transaction was at. And we were just talking on the phone, and like within like 10, 12, 13 minutes, it just cleared. And he says, there you go. See, just wait until it has like 3 confirmations on there just to be safe before you send it back out. And I'm like, how did that happen? How did that transaction just clear in like 10, 12 minutes? And he said, well, that's the revolution behind, that's what makes the Bitcoin technology so powerful. And I go, and then he started telling me about the currency, how it's, censorship resistant, and it's private and all this stuff. And I just zoned out. I didn't even hear about that currency stuff. All I saw was that this thing just cleared and settled in like 10, 12 minutes. And I'm like, there is no way that Wall Street, and we did it a few more times, and I couldn't believe how fast it settles and clears, and I can reuse that money again. And from my trading background, I know that there's millions, billions, and trillions of dollars on Wall Street from hedge funds, from institutions that have to move money around that take days and weeks. So imagine if you're a hedge fund manager or you're in a mutual fund or an institution that needs to move money around, billions of dollars, and you have to wait a week or 2 for that money to clear so you can reuse that money. How much is it worth to you to have a clearing and settlement technology that settles within 10, 12 minutes? Can you guys see the value in that? Right, I'm not trying to persuade you guys to use blockchains or Bitcoin, but can you see financially on Wall Street how something that takes 2 weeks to clear and settle that's reduced down to like 10, 15 minutes, how valuable that would be to everyone in the financial world. So when I saw that and I tested the Bitcoin transactions and I saw how fast it settled, that's when I just pulled everything out, every bonus check I got, every tax, everything that I got, and all the stupid doodads and material stuff that I had around the house, I just sold it all and I just put it all into Bitcoin. Everything, right? I was living on ramen noodles and peanut butter and jelly. Yeah, it's like back in college again, right? I just do that for myself, not for my wife and kids, okay? So, all right. I was not being a real Asian parent, Like my parents were, if I didn't work or something, they just starved me. you know. You Americans are lucky, man. All right, so, all right, reason number 5 is tokenizing ownership of a business, okay? So I'm gonna share with you guys a story of what happened in our company, in our channel, in our business. So I think it was in 2015, I think, or 16. All right, I'm not good with numbers, so if I get the dates wrong, please don't jump on my butt about it and beat me up or punch me in the stomach out in the hallway here, okay? So there was a new cryptocurrency wallet came out called Exodus. Raise your hand if you have heard of Exodus wallet, okay? Almost most of the room, okay? So back then it came out, and I have a background in teaching art, used to teach art for many years, and the first time that my partner, my business partner, leonfu.com, told me about the Exodus wallet, he goes, hey, go check out this new desktop wallet that they just released. And I saw the wallet, and it just blew my mind. I couldn't believe how easy it was to use. I didn't have to read any tutorials, any instructions, and I couldn't believe the customer service number. It was the first cryptocurrency wallet I had that I saw that had a customer support number. Didn't have to pay nothing. I just used it and call. And I even said, I'll bet these guys are a bunch of clowns. They're not going to answer the phone, right? I called them, and it was like Daniel Castiglione, the designer of the wallet. He goes, hey, this is Daniel. How can we help you? I mean, Daniel, the guy that designed this Exodus wallet, and he goes, yeah, how can I help you? I said, this is Ty Zen. We run a cryptocurrency. And he goes, oh, yeah, we know about you guys. And I'm like, really? You know, felt flattered, you know? and I go, dude, you got a badass wallet here. And he goes, yeah, we just started. And then we did some research, and we found out they were offering like a Series A, which means that they're trying to raise money to develop that wallet. And so our team saw that opportunity, and we jumped on it. So I'm telling you that, full disclosure, so that if you guys think, oh, like, why is he talking good things about the Exodus wallet? It's because he's an investor in their project. Well, now you know. Okay, so back then, our team put money into the wallet because we believed in it, because it was the undisputed easiest wallet, best looking wallet that we have ever seen, even till this day. And we say, hey, we want to be a part of this, because these guys, they get it. Like, you go into crypto, occasionally, guys, you're going to meet people in the blockchain and crypto space where they just get it. You talk to them, and you know, oh, these guys got it, okay? They get it. Like, these guys over here, they might be lost, and they have no clue what the hell they're talking about, but these guys, they get it, and they show that they get it. They don't just talk about they getting it, okay? So when we saw them, right, we invested, so we got shares in their wallet, ownership of that wallet service, right? And they're huge. They have thousands, hundreds of thousands of users on their wallet, right? We believe that more than likely TD Ameritrade or Charles Schwab or somebody's going to come and just buy them out. They're not going to let a service that popular and that good just pass them up, all right? And we also noticed that they were a blockchain asset management tool. They were not just a wallet where you store your coins. We saw that they were going to use it so that people can manage their assets, their blockchain assets. And when Daniel said that, hey, you know, we designed it so that it was a blockchain asset management tool, we said, dude, that is exactly what the community needs, right? And so, but the problem with it is that the shares that we have in Exodus, guess, we know that it has gone up in value probably 50, 100x since we got into it. That's what we estimate. But can we do anything with those shares? Can we do anything with those shares that they have, that we have that our team has in the Exodus wallet? Nothing. There's nothing that we can do about it. Even though we know that these tokens, the shares that we have in the Exodus wallet are worth probably 10, 20, 50, 100 times more than what they were when we got into it, there's nothing that we can do. We can't cash out. We can't liquidate it. The only time that we can profit from it is when they actually sell their business, sell their company, and whoever buys it buys out those shares and have to give us US dollars for those shares, and that's it. But what happens is the blockchain technology allows us to tokenize the ownership of a business now. So instead of, I don't know, I forget how many shares they issued, but let's just say they issued 1 million shares. And instead of issuing 1 million shares, what if they would have just issued 1 million tokens that represents ownership of Exodus? Now that's different, exactly. Because now, what can we do with those tokens? Yeah, we can trade them. We can trade it on Ether Delta. We can trade it on a decentralized exchange. I can trade it peer-to-peer, one person to another. So you guys see the huge advantage in that? So when I first got into blockchains, right, I never looked at it as a currency. And just so you guys know, this is my personal opinion. Ain't no currency going to outdo the US dollar. Not in my lifetime. Because you guys know why? You guys know why I say that with such conviction? Okay, if you don't know why, I invite you guys to go to San Diego, to downtown San Diego, and you're going to see some of the biggest aircraft carriers the world has ever built. And I want you to pay the $100 or $200 to go take a tour of one of their, like the USS Midway, right? It was in the Vietnam War. It's been through multiple wars. It's like a 50-year-old aircraft carrier. And that's a 50-year-old aircraft carrier. And I want you guys to walk on there and just walk through the whole aircraft carrier. And America has a dozen of those to protect the US dollar. Bitcoin has none. Okay, and as long as those aircraft carriers are going around the world and we have dozens of submarines protecting the US dollar, I don't foresee Bitcoin taking over the US dollar anytime soon in my lifetime. Okay, now, if you guys been following our channel, right, you guys know that we're straight shooters. We don't BS nobody. We don't give these pie in the sky, theoretical, hey, if the world was like this, this would be better. We look at the reality of, hey, what is the reality? The reality is the U.S. got like 3,000 something nuclear warheads to protect the U.S. dollar. Okay, Bitcoin doesn't have any nuclear warheads. Okay, Bitcoin does not have 300 million people paying tax dollars to protect the US dollar. Okay, so that's what we see as the reality. So there's things that sound really good in fairyland over here, and there's the reality of the aircraft carriers that are circulating the globe protecting the US interests in the US dollar. So, and we don't need the Bitcoin technology or the blockchain technology to take over the US dollar for businesses to benefit from it. Right? Individuals can benefit regardless if that happens or not, okay? But back to this, when we tokenize the ownership of the businesses, right, there are lots of projects right now. If you guys go and check out Polymath, and just search Polymath tokenization, you guys will see they're one of the biggest projects right now. So if you guys do more research on it, and obviously, like I disclosed, if we talk about anything, just assume that we invest in it, okay? So Polymath and T0 by Patrick Byrne, the CEO of Overstock.com. Those are different projects that are focusing on this right here. And this and the clearing and settlement is the reason why I got into Bitcoin. Not because it's going to take over the US dollar, not because it's a currency. I don't care about none of that. US dollar works fine. I live in America. I don't plan on going nowhere. This is, in my opinion, the greatest country in the world. You don't like it? You can go to other countries. There'll be somebody else lining up to take your place here. Okay, so I'm just a big American, what do you call it, patriot? Big fan, okay? I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I was in Vietnam, because they ain't gonna let you do stuff like this in Vietnam. Okay, you can't grow up in the ghetto and then do well in Vietnam. You grow up in the ghetto in Vietnam, guess where you stay at the rest of your life? In the ghetto, okay? You ain't, this, rags to riches stuff, it happens in America, not in Vietnam and these other third world countries. So whenever people that, anybody here in America says that, hey, we're being unfair, all this, hey, take your ass to Vietnam. Excuse my language, but there'll be other Vietnamese that'll be happy to take your place over here like me, okay? All right, so back to blockchains and, okay? So tokenizing ownership of a business is a huge thing, guys. So I'm gonna give you guys some examples of what I see down the line here. We have lots of hedge funds that are going to look to tokenize the ownership of the hedge fund. So I'll give you guys an example. Let's say if the hedge fund is raising 10 million or a million, so that the math is easy for me, So, and then you put in 100,000 and you own, they might do like 1 million tokens for $1 million. And then whatever you contribute, that's the portion you own. So if you contribute $100,000, that means that you own 10% of it. And anytime you can liquidate your positions, right? Obviously, it's a security product, so you're going to have to register and do all kinds of legal stuff before you're allowed to do that. But I expect that. I expect places like San Diego, #1 best city to live in America, right? In my opinion. So in places like that where you have huge, and even in Frisco here, where you have these huge commercial buildings just popping up, that charge like $30 a square foot for commercial rental and stuff, the developers can now tokenize the ownership of that entire building. So imagine if Jerry Jones wants to build a new Cowboy Stadium out here in Frisco or in Prosper, right? I know all the Prosper residents like Kirk are like, yeah, we want him building out here. But so imagine if he builds that for like $1 billion and he issues 1 billion tokens, and anybody that wants to contribute to it owns that portion of it, right? Imagine that. And then at any time, you can sell your ownership of the tokens. Imagine if the Dallas Cowboys tokens their like lifetime passes or their lifetime tickets or their season tickets, and then at any time you can transfer those tickets to someone else. So those are huge use case scenarios for tokenizing a business or a service, okay? That's something that a bunch of different cryptocurrency projects are working on to like fund an entire commercial building and let thousands of people own it from different countries, okay? And then just share that ownership of that, all right? So, all right, so those are the 5 main reasons why we would use a blockchain. Okay, all right. And then the last one here is for privacy. It reduces threats and bribes. Okay, so we have Jake, raise your hand. Back. Oh, everybody knows Jake back there, right? Awesome hair, by the way, bro. Back in the projects where I grew up, we would call that gangster. Yeah, yeah, it takes a lot to pull something like that off, okay? So, all right. So privacy is another thing, guys. It's talking about the projects where I grow up in, guys. If somebody in the projects finds out you have money, guess what they can do to you? They can go get a baseball bat and come and be your new friend. Okay? We call that threatening somebody. Okay? And it doesn't matter how big the baseball bat is either, guys. It doesn't matter if it's a plastic toy bat either. Because when you see somebody come up with that and they threaten you, like your business or to take bribes, they know how much money that you're making in your business, or they know how much money you're making personally. They can bring that baseball bat. Like they say that all the supercomputers in the military cannot crack a Bitcoin password. There's a real easy way for us to crack it back in the projects. We just get a baseball bat, and we come to you, and I promise you, there's guys in the projects that in the ghetto that will crack that password real quick, okay, with a baseball bat, okay? So what happens is when you have Bitcoin blockchain projects such as Bitcoin Private, what it does is it allows you to make your transactions private so that the guys with the baseball bats don't know what you're doing, right? Because I just recently got a call from a bank, and they said that, hey, we noticed that you have a lot of money sitting in your checking accounts not doing anything. I'm like, okay, what about it? I didn't think a big deal about it, but then they mentioned that, it was, we noticed these transactions coming in from Coinbase. Now, what do you guys think about that when somebody says that to you on the phone? Exactly, right? And it doesn't bother me because I know that, I'm using a centralized banking system and all the employees there can see what's in my bank account. Right, if whatever bank you're at, it doesn't take that much if you work at the bank to pull up, hey, George, let me see what you got in your bank account. Oh, Lou, you look rich, let me see, Don, Dow, let me see, you look like you got money. Let me see what you got in your bank account. It's not that hard, guys, all right, if you work at a banking institution to see what people have. And so I don't have a problem with that. But there are people, like George, he says it's none of their business what I got in my bank account. How many of you guys feel like it's nobody's business? Yeah, he's got 2 hands. He's up here like this with his foot up in the air and everything, right? So there are people out in the world that don't want to know, the rest of the world to know what their financial transactions are. And that's why we have projects such as Bitcoin Private and other like Pivx, Monero, Zcash that are aiming to make it so that it's ironclad, private, so that people cannot threaten you, right? And then the other thing too is that bribes. Guess what happens when you know someone does not have money or have money? Guess what you can do with them? You can bribe them. Hey man, if you pass this law, we can give you this much money. Or if, hey, You don't have any money. If you do this for us, we can give you this much money. That's what the lobbyists and all that those people do. So by making a financial transaction private, what does that do? That eliminates two of the biggest things in society. You know, people threatening you and people trying to bribe other people. So a lot of that corruption in Congress, we can eliminate that if we're able to make it. Now, there are groups out there that argue for transparency, right? But I want you guys to remember this. If you try to bribe a congressman, right, to vote for you, are you willing to pay for their vote if you don't know what they're voting on? Okay, many people don't know that, and I think it was 1970 or so, that was when they started making votes public and transparent so the world can see what each congressman is voting. But I don't know if you guys know this, but before that, our forefathers who built America knew that if you make someone's votes public, they can be bribed. Because now we know what that person's voting for. So if I'm paying, John Doe, Congressman John Doe, to vote, against firearms to make it illegal, and he goes, yeah, I'll vote for it to make it illegal. Just pay me $1 million. And then he goes and he votes on it, and you see that he voted, no for firearms. Then now you're willing to pay him, but you're not going to be willing to pay him if you don't know what he's voting for. He can tell you, yeah, I'm gonna vote for it, and then go and then vote no or you vote yes, right? So because of that, by maintaining financial transactions to be private, we eliminate those two problems right there. Regan, could you raise your hand real quick? So this is Regan from San Diego, guys. We brought her onto our channel as a full-time privacy advocate, right? That's something that we really, really strongly believe in, and that's like the strongest thing that we believe in on our channel, and we're willing to bring her on. And she's a huge privacy advocate. She really believes in that. So we wanted her to come onto our channel so that she can just full-time broadcast about why, projects such as Bitcoin Private, like Monero, like Pivx, like Particle, there's a bunch of Navcoin, all those, right? And don't get upset if I didn't mention it, guys. I can't remember all these projects, okay? So, and that's what we have her doing full-time, is just talking about how the value of privacy. Okay, all right. Enough about me, guys. Enough about the reasons why we use blockchains in businesses. Let's take some questions from the audience, because I got how much time do I have? 5 minutes? Okay, so I got 5 minutes to take some questions, guys. Do we have the second microphone? Oh. Anybody have any questions? All right, here, could you help with the microphone? Thanks. This is Eric, guys. He's our awesome community manager, right? So.
Hello.
All right.
Questions?
Yeah, just raise your hand, and then Eric will come with the microphone.
Well, this is, you were talking about privacy reduces threats and bribes,
yeah.
But it would seem like with the congressman, then they could just get secret bribes, through blockchain that nobody would know about.
You can, but the thing is this, the privacy there, and you make a good point. The point you're making is if we make financial transactions private, right? The thing is that if the congressman sees that, yes, there are things that people can use the private financial transactions for, and you are absolutely correct on that. But the thing is, if it's a honest congressman, right? So I come from the belief, there are people that have this conspiracy belief that all the politicians are bad people. I don't have that belief, right? I have a belief that the majority of the politicians that we nominate are good people, and they're trying to do their best to fix the community and the things that they believe in. I have worked with, not politicians, but I have worked with many people in the crypto space. I've worked with Jake, I've worked with Denny back there, I've worked with, the Gladius team, I've worked with Kirk, I've worked with Jake here from the Props Project here. There are lots of people that I have run into that are trying to do good for this world. And I have seen more people trying to do good for this world than I do see people trying to do bad. And I always prefer the technologies, the privacy technologies that benefits the majority of the people that are trying to do good, right? Instead of the one or two bad apples that are trying to do bad. I believe in making laws and rules and regulations that benefit the majority of the good people in America, not the small, tiny minority of bad people. Okay? Yeah. Yeah, hold on. Let's get the mic over here for Eric.
So one thing to note, though, is that if you vote and it is anonymous, then it doesn't mean that you have to vote party line. So it would actually be very healthy for our political system if, senators could vote their conscience versus what
exactly.
leadership
Yeah, there's
wants.
people on the Democratic side and on the Republican side maybe they don't believe what their party is advocating. Can you get Scott too? I think he had his hand up next to, right? Scott, raise your hand. Yeah. So, yes, I agree with guys. You guys do not realize this, but you guys are blessed to be in the presence of Decred Moses right here. You guys do not realize that. This is Marco Peerboom, right? Make sure you get a picture with him. Make sure you shake his hands because you guys are in the presence of greatness right here.
Is it that serious?
I am dead serious. Yeah. Yeah. These guys are not jokers. Remember how I talked about some people just get it in crypto? Their team gets it. There's other people writing white papers and a bunch of BS. They're writing code that works. Okay? So if you talk about the top 10 cryptocurrency projects, out there, I mean, software engineering teams from an engineering perspective, what we would consider in the projects badasses, they would be one of those top 10. And so I live in the great country of Texas, and I am glad we have blockchain engineers like them in Texas, right? So you guys are from Austin and Waco. Yeah. So, so what he mentioned there about, party lines, right? I don't believe that every Republican believes what their party is saying. I don't believe that every Democrat believes in what their party is saying. And by making things private, now they can vote on what they feel is best for their people instead of what their party is strong-arming them to do, okay? And if you guys want more research on that, just Google $5 cardboard box reform by my good friend James D'Angelo. He does huge research into the privacy, and he actually, how many of you guys have heard of Andreas Antonopoulos? Everybody has, right? So James D'Angelo is the equivalent of Andreas Antonopoulos back in 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016. And then he saw that Bitcoin was, the civil war going on between the Bitcoin teams. And so he didn't want to deal with that, so he went and focused on things that he can make a change to. So he's doing huge research on privacy right now in Congress and trying to lobby to make the congressmen's votes private so that they cannot be bribed by the lobbyists. Because right now, since 1970, around that time, all the lobbyists are able to pay bribes, pay off the congressmen for their votes. And so he's trying to eliminate that so that their votes cannot be purchased, right? Go ahead, Scott.
Hey, Ty, I saw that, or I heard you briefly mention that you're working on some indexes
Yes.
with Kurt. I was wondering if you could let us know where we could get more information on that or what sort of metrics you're using.
Okay, so let me just explain to the audience what the indexes are first. So right now, the market has, in the traditional markets, we have like the NASDAQ 100, the S&P 500, and the Dow Jones. And those are like the three standard metrics that the financial market goes by to measure the health and the pulse of the market. And we don't have that in the cryptocurrency market. So our team is right now in conjunction with Kirk's software agency, we are trying to build the first, we're not trying, we are, because I've seen the alphas of it already. So we're looking to build the cryptocurrency market indexes so that when hedge funds, when institutions and Wall Street starts coming into they already are, but we need these tools. These tools are not, they're common, people see them all the time in the traditional markets, but we don't have them in the cryptocurrency market. And since our team came from a trading background and we understand how Wall Street works, somebody has to build it, so why not us, right? So, all right. Sean?
Since you started this journey in 2012, and I think you're probably way ahead of everybody here. I mean, definitely learning a lot. But since you started, it was a revolution. Now it's an evolution. And where do you see it going in the blockchain technology?
Okay, so when I first started in the crypto space, I was a diehard Bitcoin maximalist. A maximalist is a fanboy. Okay, you're a diehard fanboy. So if you're a Bitcoin maximalist, that means you're a diehard fanboy of Bitcoin and no other cryptocurrency. Not even the baby Bitcoins like Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Diamond, Bitcoin Prime. You're just Bitcoin Core and that's it, right? So, but after the first year, after Ethereum came out and NXT came out, we realized that it's not a personal belief. The market knows better than any one of us individually. So when we say the market, we're talking about the vast community of people using the blockchain. And apparently, if Ethereum is worth $1,000, right, and Dogecoin is worth several $billion in market cap, the market is saying they have value for that. Now, regardless if I personally believe in it or not, right, it doesn't matter. The market sees that it's worth that much. You know, so now we are not Bitcoin maximalists anymore. We are cryptocurrency maximalists. And may the best project win. May Decred win. May Gladius win. And there doesn't have to be one winner, guys, right? So we believe that any of these projects can be successful, right? All right. Last question, and then we got to get the next speaker up here. Can you give him the back there? Yeah.
Let me see your hands, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, so earlier you talked about being an investor in Exodus, so you have shares in that company.
Yes.
And you also talked about the potential of like TD Ameritrade maybe, you know, being interested in an acquisition. So I have kind of a hypothetical question. Let's say Exodus needed more funding and they decided to launch their own token.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on how TD Ameritrade would then view, you know, acquiring Exodus?
So
with that blended ownership.
Yeah, so when I say that, I believe that a company like TD Ameritrade or Charles Schwab or one of those big brokers would just come and buy out Exodus. That's just my personal just opinion. And that's my wishful dreaming and thinking. You know, I want Bitcoin to go to $1 million a token. I want Dogecoin to go to $1 million a token also. And I want, you know, Gladius to go to $1 million a token. I want every crypto project in here that's going to speak today to go to $1 million a token. All right? That's my dream, but that's just my personal belief. I have no evidence of TD Ameritrade or Charles Schwab or anybody trying to buy Exodus, but if they were to do it, if Exodus were to put all their company shares and tokenize it, the way that another company would come in and buy them out is they would have to come in and buy out all the tokens. So they can either go onto the open market and just buy it from everyone, or they can have an agreement that, hey, we are interested in buying out Exodus ownership, and anybody that has tokens, we are willing to buy up all the tokens at this set price. And then the people that want to sell their ownership to TD Ameritrade, they can. The ones that don't, they just hold on to it. Okay, can you use the microphone?
Yep, sorry. So you're saying if they were to tokenize it, then all of the existing shares would become tokenized?
Yeah, so that
Okay.
they would have to go through the legal process, get with their securities attorney, and make sure that everything that they're doing is legal and compliant with U.S. Financial regulations, right? And speaking of U.S. financial regulations, guys, if a project does not want to conform with U.S. regulations, you have these projects, blockchain projects outside the U.S. that say, hey, you know, we're in India, we don't need to follow U.S. laws. I scratch that off the list immediately, the minute they say that. I'm like, hey, it's good talking to you, you know, and I just hang up the Skype, right? Because if you're not willing to follow the U.S. laws, the U.S. has the strictest financial laws that I know of, and if they're not willing to comply with our laws so that we're protected, why should I look at their project, okay?